On a cold January morning, as a pale winter sun struggled to break through the clouds, Brussels was jolted by a political earthquake that no one had seen coming. The city, usually so composed and orderly, suddenly found itself at the epicenter of a crisis that would send shockwaves across the continent. In a move that stunned observers, Hungary and Austria announced they would formally explore BRICS Plus membership, signaling a dramatic shift in their foreign policy orientation. The news flashed across Europe, lighting up newsrooms and government offices. The European Commission was left in stunned silence, the gravity of the announcement sinking in before panic set in among top officials. Emergency meetings were called at lightning speed. Officials scrambled to confirm the reports, their faces etched with disbelief and concern as they rushed through the corridors of power. This was no rumor or diplomatic misstep. It was a calculated, coordinated statement from Budapest and Vienna, delivered with precision and intent. For the EU, the implications were staggering. It was unthinkable. Two member states openly courting a rival bloc, challenging the very foundation of European unity. The move struck at the heart of the European project, raising uncomfortable questions about the EU's role as the primary alliance for its members. Was the Union still the unifying force it once claimed to be? The shockwaves rippled far beyond Europe's borders. In Washington, policymakers scrambled to assess the impact. In Beijing and Moscow, leaders watched with keen interest, sensing an opportunity to reshape the global balance of power. In Budapest, the government framed the decision as a bold step toward a multi-aligned foreign policy, emphasizing Hungary's right to pursue its own interests in a rapidly changing world. Vienna's officials echoed similar sentiments, speaking of economic necessity and Austria's historic role as a bridge between East and West. They argued that in a world of shifting alliances, flexibility was key to national prosperity. Both governments insisted this was only an exploration, not a final break with the EU. Yet their cautious handshakes and carefully worded statements betrayed the uncertainty beneath the surface. But the message was unmistakable. The old certainties that had defined Europe for decades were gone, replaced by a new era of unpredictability. The post-Cold War order, once thought unshakable, was now being questioned from within. The very idea of a united Europe was suddenly up for debate. Years of friction with Brussels, growing disillusionment, and a sense of EU rigidity had set the stage for this moment. Public protests and political debates had long hinted at deeper divisions simmering beneath the surface. Hungary and Austria were the first to act on this new global reality, stepping into uncharted territory and forcing their neighbors to confront uncomfortable truths. Their announcement shattered the calm, forcing Europe to confront a question it never expected to face. Could the Union, once a symbol of stability and unity, now be at risk of fracturing from within? The world was watching, and the stakes had never been higher. The announcement sent shockwaves across Europe, triggering outrage and anxiety. The unexpected decision by Hungary and Austria to align with BRICS caught many off guard, leaving citizens and leaders alike scrambling to understand the implications. Paris and Berlin condemned the move as a betrayal that threatened European unity. French and German leaders expressed deep concern over the potential fracturing of alliances that have been the bedrock of European stability for decades. Macron called it a grave mistake, emphasizing the risks to collective security. Scholz demanded clarity and loyalty, urging a return to shared values and cooperation. Newsrooms scrambled, and TV panels debated whether this was the start of a trend. Analysts speculated on the long-term effects, questioning if other nations might follow suit, further destabilizing the region. Pro-EU demonstrators rallied outside Hungarian and Austrian embassies, waving flags and chanting for unity. Their voices echoed a deep-seated fear of losing the cohesion that has defined Europe for generations. In Hungary, Orbán's supporters celebrated a declaration of independence from Brussels, while opponents feared isolation and economic ruin. The divide highlighted the growing tension between national sovereignty and European integration. Austrians were divided. Business leaders saw opportunity in new alliances, but many worried about compromising neutrality and values. The debate over Austria's future role in Europe intensified. The debate was no longer abstract, it was about national identity and Europe's future. Conversations in cafes and universities turned to the core of what it means to be European in a rapidly changing world. The continent was forced to ask, is this the beginning of a new era, or the start of a dangerous unraveling? The uncertainty loomed large, casting a shadow over the future of European unity. The stakes had never felt higher. As the winds of change swept across the continent, The decisions made in the coming days would shape the trajectory of Europe for years to come. To truly grasp the shockwaves rippling through Europe today, we must look back and remember the EU's remarkable origins, a story born from devastation and hope. In the aftermath of World War II, Europe lay in ruins, cities were shattered, economies crippled, and millions of lives forever changed. Out of these ashes, a bold vision emerged, to create a union that would make war between its nations not just unlikely, but unthinkable. The founding vision was simple, yet revolutionary. Bind the economies and destinies of European countries so tightly together that conflict would become impossible, replaced by cooperation and trust. This ambitious project began with the European coal and steel community, pooling vital resources to ensure that no single nation could secretly prepare for war. Building on this foundation, the Union expanded into the European Economic Community, laying the groundwork for deeper integration. But the EU was always about more than just economics. It was about forging a shared identity, rooted in common values, democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. It was about healing old wounds and building a future together. Over the decades, the EU grew from a handful of nations to a union of 27, creating a vast single market and introducing a common currency, the euro, that now circulates in millions of pockets. For countries of the former Eastern Bloc, joining the EU was more than a political move. It was a return to Europe, a reclaiming of democracy, and a promise of prosperity and freedom after decades behind the Iron Curtain. The EU became a powerful symbol of cooperation, peace, and shared destiny, not just a club for economic gain or convenience. It fostered multicultural societies, open borders, and opportunities for millions to live, work, and study across the continent. The implicit bargain was clear. In exchange for the benefits of membership, nations would align their futures and sovereignty with the Union, committing to its shared rules and ideals. Today, Hungary and Austria's recent moves challenge this very premise, shaking the foundation of European unity and raising questions about the future of the project. Suddenly, the EU is no longer the only game in town. New alliances and rival blocs are emerging, and the choices made now will shape Europe's destiny for generations to come. Hungary and Austria's decision is more than a foreign policy shift. It's a direct challenge to European unity. The EU's strength lies in solidarity and speaking with one voice. By seeking BRICS ties, Budapest and Vienna undermine this collective power and break an unwritten rule. The move creates cracks in trust and raises fears of a domino effect. It's also ideological. The EU stands for liberal democracy, while BRICS includes authoritarian states. Hungary and Austria's actions signal a possible drift from EU values. The rift exposes two visions: deeper integration versus flexible sovereignty. This is a test of the EU's discipline and cohesion. Hungary's BRICS interest is the result of a decade-long strategy under Viktor Orbán. The Eastern opening aims to reduce dependence on the West by courting Russia and China. Budapest sees BRICS as a way to formalize these ties and reclaim sovereignty from Brussels. The EU's liberal agenda clashes with Hungary's conservative vision. BRICS offers non-interference, more policy freedom, and access to vast markets. Hungary has become a hub for Chinese investment and maintains energy ties with Russia. The move is pragmatic. Seek growth where it's happening, and elevate Hungary's global status. It's a high-stakes bet on a multipolar world. Austria's BRICS exploration is rooted in its tradition of neutrality. Since 1955, Austria has thrived as a bridge between East and West. Now, with the world dividing into new blocs, Vienna sees BRICS as a modern extension of its balancing act. Economic pragmatism drives the move. BRICS markets offer new opportunities for Austrian business. Unlike Hungary, Austria isn't in deep conflict with Brussels, but feels the EU is too rigid. Vienna wants to supplement, not replace, its EU ties, seeking the best of both worlds. Critics worry about compromising neutrality and reputation. The government must convince both its people and the EU that this is pragmatic, not a pivot away from the West. It's a delicate balancing act in a shifting global landscape. To understand Hungary and Austria's move, consider BRICS evolution. Once just an investment term, BRICS became a political force. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and later South Africa. The group's goal: give emerging economies a bigger voice and create a multipolar world. BRICS established its own institutions like the New Development Bank as alternatives to Western-led bodies. BRICS Plus expanded the bloc, adding major players from the global south. Unlike the EU, BRICS is a loose, flexible forum. No central bureaucracy, no binding treaties. Its core principles, respect for sovereignty and non-interference. This flexibility is a key part of its appeal. BRICS Plus appeals to Hungary and Austria for its flexibility. Unlike the EU's strict rules, BRICS operates on consensus, no binding laws, no supranational courts. For Hungary, it's a way to escape Brussels scrutiny and pursue its own agenda. For Austria, it's about economic opportunity without compromising neutrality. BRICS lets members pick areas of cooperation, avoiding entanglement in security or political disputes. The bloc's nimbleness is attractive in a fast-changing world. BRICS offers access to huge markets and a voice in global affairs, without the EU's demanding conditions. For both countries, it's a chance to engage globally on their own terms. For Hungary and Austria, exploring BRICS is a high-stakes gamble. The rewards access to dynamic markets, new investment, and greater diplomatic influence. But the risks are serious. EU backlash could mean lost funds, political isolation, and investor flight. Aligning with Russia and China could alienate traditional allies and damage reputations. Both countries could be caught between rival powers, forced into tough choices. The move forces the EU to confront its own future. Can it accommodate divergent interests, or will it demand loyalty and risk fragmentation? The outcome will shape Europe's path toward flexibility or crisis. The world is watching as Europe's fractures may redefine the global order. The stakes could not be higher.